Hi guys, my name is Nonima Tigela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about what happened on Monday. Why did I remember about it? Is because of what happened on Tuesday. It caught in the afternoon. The reason why we did not have the afternoon session, but I'll do a separate video. But let's focus on what happened on Monday. And then you will see why I'm talking about these two things separately so that you understand. So, what happened is that maybe I'll do the same video. I don't know. Also, sorry, I'll see. I don't like it when my videos are long. I honestly don't like it. So on Monday, when we adjourned, before adjournment, there was something that Uram Sipili asked. You know, this you guys know that I'm a firm believer in God. You know that, ne? And spiritual things keep creeping in the sense of the case. I don't know if it makes sense, but spiritual matters. The spiritual realm is somewhere in the mix of it all. I don't care which one you believe in, whether in God alone or you believe in your ancestors or whatsoever, but there's a spiritual warfare that is happening there. The bad and the good side of things, the evil and the good, the divinity is taking over. There is a very it's calm, but it's chaotic. I don't know if you hear me. It's calm because it's the divinity of it all is not making a noise. And this one, the evil of it all is like fighting and holding on to it. But there is a spiritual warfare that is happening here. Tell me why on Monday, when we ended the session, the court session, it ended on something that sounded like a simple question. It was not an accusation. It was not an argument. It was not even a challenge. Just this, were you offered food? That was where we ended on Monday with Ubongani dance. That it can't be coincident that then Tuesday the same issue regarding food happens. This is so spiritual. This is super spiritual. But anyone who understands custodial environments knows this is not a small question. This is not about meals. This is not about comfort. This is the question where power is tested. And there was something in the courtroom when that question was asked. There was a pause that changed the room. I don't know if you noticed that. Before the answer, before Ubongani Danzi could answer, there was a pause from him, from everybody. There was a bit of silence. Not because someone was confused or Bongani Danzi was confused, not because Bongani forgot. No, a pause loaded with memory. He was like, hang on a sec. What? Did I eat? That hesitation, well, we all heard of it. All of us guys, we heard that hesitation. That slight tightening of the voice, I don't know if you picked that up, that controlled rise in emotion from Bongani. I don't know if you heard that or you catched that or you catched on. That is where dignity entered the room. He was like, I'm spicing up. Because hunger is not just physical, it is psychological. And when someone forced to relieve deprivation while restrained, the body remembers before the mind speaks. Before the mind can speak, the body remembers. So let's look at Monday versus Tuesday, a noticeable shift. So on Monday, Bongani Danzi, you could, if those that could see him, I'm sure he was visibly heated. Those that could hear him, they could hear the heat that was coming. It was not disrespectful. It was not disruptive. It was heated because the questions reopened a wound that had never properly closed. He's still in prison. That wound cannot be closed. He was more composed, more deliberate, more controlled, but do not mistake composure for calm. The emotions did not disappear. It was contained. It was contained. And the contained emotions is often more dangerous than anger because it signals processing, not reacting. He had a moment of processing that 2020 incident, the entire 2020 incident. In fact, he is busy reliving that 2020 incident. Why does it matter when the food question is coming along? Where you offered food is a procedural question on paper, right? But in reality, it asks something much deeper. Were you treated as a human being? Were your basic needs acknowledged? Were you in a position to resist or only to comply? That's what Ramsipile was showing us. In custodial settings, deprivation does not need to be violent to be cohesive. It doesn't need to. Hunger weakens resistance. Thirst breaks focus. Silence becomes survival. And that is why this question matters. And it made sense why Ramsipile asked the question. And the answers were simple and they were painful. Oh, they were so devastating, guys. No food, no water, no snacks, not even water, guys. Just simple water, nothing. And when asked why he didn't ask for food, then his answer reveals everything. He explained that the manner in which he was spoken to made it impossible. He had already been labeled. He had already been framed as stubborn, already treated as a problem. So how could he? How was he supposed to ask? So in that environment, asking for food is not a request. It is a risk. He can get beaten up. It was very risky. So he had to calculate what he does, what he say, how he says it, how he does it. He had to. And this is where control slipped. The system expects certain things, predictable answers, flat denials, emotionless compliance. What it does not expect is a witness who regains control without challenging the story. That is where control slipped, not because facts collapsed, but because delivery evolved. Mm-hmm. And on Monday, the emotion was raw, but on Tuesday, it was measured. And when a witness shifts from emotion to precision, the court is forced to listen differently because now this is no longer pain speaking, it is memory. So in a competent court, the judge will hear and will understand, will have that human form from him, sensing would know this person is not lying. A subtle but dangerous shift happened in that courtroom. Notice what quietly changed in the room. The question was no longer why didn't you ask for food? It became why wasn't food offered to begin with? Why did Bongani had to be the one that has to ask? That is a shift in burden, and it happens only when a witness stops pleading and starts placing facts on record. And that is exactly why Bongani was doing what he was doing. That moment will matter later. It may not matter now, but it will matter later. It may feel like it's a small segment right now, what was happening. No shouting, no objections, no drama. But there are moments appellate courts study carefully because deprivation does not need bruises. Coercion does not need threats. Sometimes it looks like silence, hunger, and restraint delivered politely. That was not about food, guys. It was about control. And for a brief moment, that control slipped. Not loudly, not theatrically, but just enough for dignity to sit down in the courtroom and refuse to leave. And Bongani was claiming his dignity right there on the spot. He was claiming his dignity right there on the spot, the way he remembered things. So if a person is arrested now, denied food and water and spoken with hostility? Can anything they say afterward truly be considered they volunteered what they were saying? Or is silence itself a form of coercion? Let me know what are your thoughts. I'll catch you on the next upload. Thank you so much. I will see you on the live now. I'm going straight live. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.